So what we're talking about as we're just coming on recording right now is life as is and like socialism. And all I've done is read about it, and you've actually lived in it. How do you see, like, with what's happening right now, how we might be getting a dose going into this pandemic, this crisis and everything like that? One thing I see, just to kick off this topic, is like, well, that $1,000 per person thing seems a lot like a socialist sort of a thing. And how does that then, how can that move into police state?
Well, this is probably, is it okay if I say controversial things?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm sure this is going to be a really controversially.
People need to get their feelings hurt.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll do that then.
Yeah.
So, literally like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were in this national debate about Bernie Sanders and socialism and, all of that versus, the evil Trump and this and that. And,
sure.
and Sanders has been carrying the socialist flag agenda for a long, long time. And it's really appealing to a lot of people. Hey, I don't really have to worry about taking responsibility for myself because somebody else is going to do it. I'll have free this, free that, free school, free medicine.
Seems great, doesn't it?
Seems awesome.
Like, I don't have to do shit. This is hard to build this company. Can I just get the handout?
That's right. It's really attractive. Mm-hmm. And so, we were in this debate and people were taking it really seriously. Now, I don't think that Bernie would have been nominated ultimately. Some do, but anyway, I don't think he would ultimately made it. But basically, that whole conversation was captivating our whole country, and then we had COVID-19, and literally in the last 2 weeks, Bernie actually got what he wanted, but he didn't have to get elected because we are now a socialist state.
How so?
And well, basically, if you just look at what's happening, the government has shut down business.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're here, but it's just us.
We're here, but it's just us. Like, behind this wall is 22 desks, and they're all empty, and we're all working remotely. And I'm trying my best, but we're getting hit hard in business because the government's shutting down businesses.
That's right. You didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't have anything to do with it. No. We are complete. A lot of things that we have done in life, we haven't been innocent in, right? And in 2008, when we had the banking crisis and all of that, some of us that were back there, had something to do with it because people, bought stuff they couldn't afford and signed fraudulent loans and did all sort of things. So they had a little bit or maybe a lot to do with it. Yeah. But look, you and I didn't have anything to do with what happened to us. Well, we didn't have anything to do with the virus, but we didn't have anything to do with with Governor Brown's decision or the other governor's decisions to shut down business in the state. Yeah. This is a draconian police state measure.
Yeah, but do you not, I mean, to play devil's advocate, do you not see the positives to it just from the rate of exponential growth that this virus shows that it can do? And it's just like, this just seems to be hard medicine to eat right now.
So I'm glad I didn't have to make this decision.
Yeah, me too.
Look, there's no easy decision here, and I have huge respect for Governor Brown, all the governors, huge respect for all of our government officials and presidents and senators and representatives, and this is a mess. This is a really, really hard thing.
I think the technical term is a shit show.
Yeah, good, we'll go with that. So anyone who says, "Oh man, you should have done this," is pretty much an idiot because this is really, really hard. Mm-hmm. My opinion is because I'm a capitalist and because I believe in the power of business. Mm-hmm. Business is the only thing that makes money. Everything else uses money. Right. Business is the only thing that creates resources. Business is where innovation is. Mm-hmm. You don't get innovation in government. You don't get, I'm sorry, nothing against the politician. You don't get innovation.
I taught St. Charles how to order masks on Alibaba. I bought them 200, but they didn't know. And that didn't even take much innovation. It's just like, you're just going through your normal supply chains. Have you tried this one?
Yeah. So business is where innovation happens, and innovation follows in a free enterprise system. It follows money. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that there's been an enormous global mistake made to shut down business. So let's just say we were going to decide differently and decide we were going to spend $2 trillion or $3 trillion, because there was the first one and the second one. And so we got about $3 trillion at stake right now. Yeah. And we've decided we're going to spend that. Then the question is, okay, who's the real enemy here? Where do you focus those resources?
Yeah.
And I would submit that the enemy is not business. So what we did is we went after businesses, but then, and we're still putting the money, the $3 trillion, it's not going toward where the enemy is.
No.
So the enemy is the virus.
Right.
Okay. And so we have a war against a virus, and we made really bad decisions. We could have mobilized the resources of business immediately to go after cures, to go after space, to go after all sorts of resources that could have been mobilized immediately.
Well,
and
South Korea did it, right? Like, they have the playbook. I just don't understand why we're not following it. The playbook is, well, first of all, business stepped up and made the test kits like immediately fast. So a business in South Korea is just like, we got this, and they freaking got them out, and now they're just testing. Jacob, could you look this up? To make sure numbers right, just like audit me, but I think it's something like 50,000 people a day, maybe 17,000. It's a lot. Oregon, for reference, is 77 people a day. AKA, we have no fucking idea who has it or not. And the rule in Oregon currently on this day, Friday, March 27th, is if you only get tested if you're showing symptoms over the age of 60. So we straight up don't know. Oregon looks like it is one of the least states. Like, when you look at all the maps, no, we're the least tested, so we don't know. So South Korea did that. Then South Korea also had the concept down where they're like, okay, we have this massive surveillance system like we do, and when we test these people, we now know they have it. So now we put them on an app that was made by a business. So the app enforces that they stay at home. We see that their phone is on them. I think they also have a bracelet, not sure, but basically, let's just say, since people have phones, be a part of them anyway, you're staying at home. If they don't, they end up getting fined, so you're in a quarantine if you test positive. Then what they did is like, okay, let's go through all the security cameras and credit card companies, business, and let's look at this person who tested positive. Where did they go? So they went to the market, and then they went to the gas station, and then they went to this business. And here on camera, we see them interacting with Bob, Anna, Mark, and Tyler. Obviously, these are not South Korean names, but you get what I'm saying. So they call Bob, Anna, Mark, and Tyler, and they say, hey, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we need you to go on a 14-day quarantine because you got in contact with Sally, and Sally has the virus. And they do, and then they're on the app, and now the public's able to see the app and where all the polka dots of virus people are, and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So not only are you enforcing the measure via law, but you're also enforcing the measure via, what's the word I'm looking for here? Social embarrassment.
Yeah. Social pressure.
Social pressure, sure. So their economy, they're still going out doing what they do because they're utilizing the system. Well, we know already, I mean, this is a big invasion of privacy, and I kind of hate that, but also we learned from Snowden that we haven't had privacy for like at least 15 years. So we might as well use this invasion of privacy to allow our businesses to stay open. Mobilize business to make it so that we don't have to go into a Great Depression. So, okay, going on, that's basically what I see. So you're like, we can mobilize business, and since you're pro-business and there's so much anti-business happening, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I just want to come back to your question a minute ago, because I didn't dodge it, but I didn't actually hit it head on. So I think the fundamental question that we're wrestling with is an ethical question. It's a values-based question, and it really goes in kind of in two directions. One is, what's the value of a single life? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the value of your grandmother? Okay.
What do you think? Are we actually going to play this game, or is that just?
That's a rhetorical.
Okay, I was hoping. Rhetorical, good.
Yeah, no, I don't know your grandmother.
Yeah,
I'm just, but I mean, I'm bringing it personal. Like,
sure.
If we could say, well, those people, but no, I mean, what if it's my mom or your grandmother or whatever? What's the value of a single life? And interestingly enough, because we're fundamentally, I know this is more controversial. Fundamentally, America's a Christian values-based country.
I don't know if they notice what's on our money. It says in God we trust, but whatever.
Yeah, Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, the highest value is life. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when we take that value and we say, wow, okay, we have a life-threatening circumstance here. What are we going to do about that? And we need to prioritize life and individual lives. Then the decision And it is a decision for many people that's very easy. Oh, well, everything else has to go away because the highest priority is human life.
Mm-hmm.
But globally and as leaders, we got to look at that in a broader perspective, because when you look at little L life, like your grandmother, who's
Sure.
precious,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little L life, okay? But we look at the lives and the LIFE of a whole country, a whole world, and say, where is the most damage going to be done? If we want to protect life, now we have to figure out how we look at a bigger picture rather than
Mm-hmm.
just my mom, who's at risk and 90 years old and all
Yeah.
of that. So, and I hope she doesn't get the virus. I hope your grandmother doesn't either.
Yeah.
But so there's been a values-based decision that's been okay. We're going to go for life. Hard to argue with that.
It is.
And I'm not. But we also, I believe, are going to find that we were short-sighted and that we overlooked the big L life and the opportunities to actually handle this in a way that didn't devastate families. We're going to see lots and lots and lots of people, but we won't have the stats because nobody's tracking the suicides, the despair, the
Mm-hmm.
families broken, the abuse, the stuff that is going on right now as a consequence of the economic devastation caused by Governor Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Baldy's, that's just the Bend barbecue on the east side, just 4 days ago was broken, or 5 days ago. The east side was broken into, and they destroyed the smoker to steal what? Meat, steal food. So, and as this continues to happen, it would be foolish to think that that's going to be the only one.
No, we're going to see an awful lot of death and an awful lot of damage and destruction and injury and pain and grief caused by the way that we interpreted the proper response to that question. What's more important, life or business?
Right. But, okay, so there has to be some kind of middle ground in this, because if we do just let everything be open and we let people like party like they were in sidelines, and the lodge that I saw 2 Saturdays ago in Bachelor, I did social distance skiing, so I planned it on Northwest where I was the only person on the lift. But on Pine, I didn't even touch Pine. I did red chair up, 4 people stacked, big line going into it, and the lodge was packed. And this was the day before the mountain closed. I was like, they're going to close this mountain, and sure enough, they did. So people weren't practicing, and it just you watch it just spread exponentially. I mean, we know it's 2.5 people, so there is the option South Korea. I mean, how do we not just shut down the economy, but at the same time not say fuck it, let all these people die?
That's why I'm glad that you and I didn't have to make this decision. It's a really, really difficult decision, and I hope that 2 weeks from now we find out that the governor's made the right decision.
Yeah,
I hope so, because 2 weeks we're going to be able to recover, and there'll be some serious hits to business and major pain, but we're going to be able to recover. But if this continues on,
it's going to.
It's going to be a wasteland. It's going to be
it's not going to be 2 weeks.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And so and if we find out that in fact, hey, we didn't need to do that. We didn't need to kill our economy. We didn't need to kill a culture in order to go after a culture. That we could have mobilized resources in a different way. So just like you, like if I said, hey, man, I know you don't know anything about respirators. You're not in the respirator business, but I'm in desperate need of a way to get respirators.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure as an entrepreneur and a business owner and a leader and a smart guy, if I said, hey, man, I need your help, would you figure this out?
Yeah.
That you'd get it figured out.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't get it. It wouldn't take months. It would take like this afternoon.
Yeah.
You'd figure it out. You'd pick up the phone and you'd find the resources and you get it done.
No, I talked to a local company that makes masks, and I was like, how can I help you make N95 masks? This was weeks ago. She jumped on it because there was a shortage and everything like that. So like Tesla and GM, like GM wasn't in the tank making business before World War II, but they're like, that's what the country needs, so we're gonna make tanks.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, so going into so now we're going into so you're saying socialism via government shutdown. I'm thinking right now, as I'm studying the Gulag Archipelago, I'm not sure on this question. Was the Soviet Union a Christian nation?
Well, no, there was the Russian Orthodox Church, which is Christian, but the whole communist regime became religion. So communism, Marxism became a religion,
right?
And because religion has nothing to do with faith, right? It just has to do with the social practices that people decide to follow.
Yeah, they weren't creating concentration camps in the name of, which by the way, dwarfed. They made Hitler look like an amateur.
Right.
Really did. Killed maybe around, the estimates are anywhere from 130 to 180 million. So, but from everything I've been reading so far, and so that's a complete Marxism, socialism sort of scenario, rule by fear. I haven't read anything yet of them saying we're arresting you in the name of Christ.
Probably not.
No.
Hasn't happened since the Inquisition. So there's been bad things in the Christian religion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that faith. That's not representative of following Christ, but it was a religion. And so in the name of religion, many bad things have been done in all religions.
So you lead the 10X group, which I gave a description about, but just another recap is you're helping business owners who are Christian say, hey, you can depend on your Christian beliefs to get you through business, and you have like a group come together, but that basically like mentors each other. Am I describing this correctly?
Sure.
So things have had to have been a bit different as of, I think D-Day was about, when Oregon started taking this seriously. That was 2 Thursdays ago. So since 2 Thursdays ago, what has been your advice? What have some of these Christian business owners been saying to you? How have you been using religion to help during this pandemic?
So we don't use religion at all.
Okay.
So I'm not religious, and nobody that's in 10X is religious.
Okay.
But we do follow Christ, or as best we can.
What's the difference between being religious and following Christ?
Well, you can be religious about golf. You can be religious about, some would call me sort of religious about fly fishing. Okay. So, it's about what you worship and how you organize your time and everything else. But and there certainly are people who believe that they are Christians because they're in what they call a Christian religion, but there's a different way to look at this, which is, who do we look to for leadership, and where do we look to for truth? And so religion is a book of rules and regulations and a bunch of stuff that's put together by men for the most part, and the Bible is a book that is, we believe, to be the living Word of God, and believe that firmly, and that's the resource, and that the place we turn to for guidance is to Jesus, to the Holy Spirit. And so basically, although things are terrible for many of the businesses that are in 10X, not for all of them, because it's not terrible everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we go into depression, we have 30% unemployment. Guess what? We still have 70% employment.
That's
okay,
true.
So the world isn't coming to an end, and all of that. It may be hard and everything else. So we've got members who are doing great. I mean, really great. And we have members who are getting crushed. But it doesn't really matter to us what's going on, because we still turn to the same source of wisdom. We still turn to prayer. We still look to God as the ultimate source and the ultimate path, and the resource for us to look to in times that are great and in times that are bad. And so, although this is really terrible, I mean, this is a really terrible thing that's going on. Terrible things have happened before. So this is not new ground. God's not surprised. Okay. If you read the Bible, it's a fascinating book. There's been all kind of pestilence and plague and things that have gone on in the Bible. I'd urge people to read the Bible, because what it'll do is put this in perspective somewhat. In fact, you probably like this better than some of the things that happened in the Bible. And so so God's not surprised by this. And those of us that have been around a while, I mean, I'm 65 and in the high risk category.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not afraid. So in 65 years.
Why aren't you afraid?
Well, first of all, I believe that I'm going to be protected. I believe I've asked for God's protection, and I believe that I'm not going to catch this. Okay. But I also believe that if I do catch it, and I hope I don't, I kind of like being healthy.
Yeah.
I hope I don't catch it, but if I do catch it, I also believe that probably, and I believe, although all statistics lie, including this one, although I believe that most people who catch this recover without being too big a deal. I believe I'll be in that camp. I'm healthy and strong and been, I'm old, but I'm tuned up. So,
Sure.
So I figure if I get it, it won't be that bad. Or if it is that bad, I mean, I've almost died multiple times from illness, and I'm still here. So, like 100% of the things that have happened to you in your life that are bad, you survived.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for me. 100% of the bad things that happened in my life, I survived, and I'm still here. That means to me that God has work for me to do still. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And then when I'm done, then I'm done. So I believe that even if I got real sick, like many of the other times I've been really sick to the edge of death, that I'm going to recover, and that'll be the case. But here's the thing for a Christian. Let's say that I get it and I die.
Yeah.
It's not a bad outcome. Okay. I mean, that's we're all going to die. 100%, another statistic, 100% of us going to die.
So far, true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean maybe.
We're all going to die.
Yeah. So 100% true. We're going to die. And then something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something next is going to happen. And for those of us who are Christ followers, we're really clear on what that's going to be. We're clear that we're going to be in heaven. We're going to be with God. We're going to be in our ongoing brothership with Jesus forever and ever and ever, and that he's got other work for us to do. And so we're going to get there sometime. And if it's sooner rather than later, then it's not all bad, right? Mm-hmm. This is the outcome we're looking for anyway. Not that I have a really strong will to live, but if it's time, then it's time, and I know where we're going. Now, the other alternative is much more scary. I would be really fearful if I wasn't in that place of rest about how this ultimately plays out.
That other alternative being atoms in the void, or going to hell.
Yeah, whatever it is, a simple way to look at it is that God is love. Mm-hmm. He is the epitome of love. He's the essence of love. And for those of us who believe we're going to heaven, the essence of going to heaven is to be in the presence of love for forever and ever and ever. Who wouldn't want that? Okay, well, some don't, but I do. I think you probably do.
I do.
So the other thing, whatever you want to call it, atoms in the wind, or that could be a song, right? Yeah. Atoms in the wind, or going to hell, or whatever that is, it is clearly the absence of love. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not interested in that.
Sure. I'd
rather be in the presence of love forever than in the absence of love forever, whatever that looks like. I don't want to go find out.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say to what's been turning over the past, let's see, what do you think? This move it towards anti-Christianity. Has that been going on for 20 years? What do you say?
I don't understand your question.
Well, you know how when we were talking before, how it used to be homosexuals, LGBTQ, in the closet, and now they're very much out, and then Christians were not in closet. Now they're kind of seeming to, no, don't talk about being a Christian. When that started, the transfer happened where Christians had to, not that they had to, but that they chose to not really talk about being Christian. So regardless of that, how do you end up helping business leaders that are like that? Because I know you run into them.
Well, so first of all, let's be clear that...
I'm not saying you should be, by the way, or anybody should.
But let's be clear that that people of faith, all sorts of faith, have been persecuted forever. Mm-hmm. And it's currently going on. And it's not just Christians. People of different faiths. If you look at the history of Africa, they've been at war forever. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with Christianity. And so different faiths are persecuted. Different things become strong, others become weak. If you're in the weak sector, you're quiet, and if you're the strong sector, then you're the strong sector. And so Christians in some cultures are most definitely being persecuted. We're not being persecuted in America. Anybody says we're being persecuted in America is just an idiot. Yeah. Okay, that's not happening. Mm-hmm. Okay, anything that is going on there, it's okay for people to disagree.
So what is happening? It's becoming less socially acceptable?
Well, sure, yeah. We're moving more, and this is not new, right? This is everything old is new again. So, throughout the course of Christianity, it's been that way. It's been in favor, it's not been in favor. But that's all a cultural decision. God has nothing to do with that decision. That's a cultural decision where, and God gave us the the free will to do it. And so men and women make up their own decisions about what they're going to do, and that becomes the social mores or morality, if you will. And we currently are in a situation, and have been for a couple decades, where our society, culturally, humans have said, we got this. We're smart enough. We got this. Humanity is the essence of existence. And therefore, if you don't agree with that, then we're going to diss you. Or argue, or try to put it down. And it's okay, no big deal.
Okay. So how does your group tend to help people in it use the Bible in a business and adapt it to a business setting?
I wouldn't say that's what we do. So what we're up to is learning. So this is an apprenticeship, right? I am not the master of life.
Yeah.
I'm not the master of the Christian life. I barely make a cup of coffee, right? But I'm not the master of life. What we're up to is as apprentices, if you will, as disciples. That's basically what an apprentice is, a disciple. What we're learning to do is to live an integrated life that integrates our faith into all that we do. And we live out of that faith imperfectly. I'm going to blow it today. In this conversation, I'll blow it probably. Okay.
We do every day.
Well, that's right.
Ways.
So,
but how you get back up?
But the idea is that we're gonna learn, and we're gonna look for divine guidance, which is available to live an integrated life. And there's two different ways to look at that integration of life. And this is different than life balance, because that's not even possible.
Yeah.
So one way you can look at an integrated life is what I wrote about in my book, the Avada principle, which is the integration. And Avada is an ancient Hebrew word. It's one of the oldest words in language. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. And Avada is that word. And Avada means, in one word, which is fascinating in Hebrew, that one word can mean more than one thing simultaneously. That word means work, worship, and service. And it's the integration of those that forms an integrated life. That's one picture, one metaphor, one way that you can look at that. And
so you guys are looking to push Avada throughout your lives.
True.
Okay.
Another model, if you will, that's totally consistent with it, but just a different way to look at it, is if you look at leadership, there's really only three key things to being a good leader. One, you have to have a soft heart. You have to have a compassionate heart. You have to have a loving heart. If you don't have that, you're not going to be a good leader.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a great leader. So you have to have a compassionate heart. Second thing is you have to have a sharp mind. So you can have a soft heart and a soft mind. That's not going to work, because you can be loving and an idiot and incompetent. That's, that doesn't get the job done. So leader has to have a soft heart and they have to have a sharp mind. And the third thing they have to have is they have to have strong hands. So we actually have to do something. This is not kumbaya, wait for God to do this or the government to do it. We need to go to work and get stuff done. We were made to work. God made us to work. Work is good. It's one of the first things that he sent Adam to do in the garden. He says, go work on that thing, okay? And he didn't curse work.
Sure.
People think work's cursed, but it's not. It's the ground that's cursed. So work is good. And so we got to have a soft heart. We got to have sharp mind, and we got to have strong hands and actually go to work there. And that's what we work on in our 10X groups. That's
a great application for what's happening right now, whether or not you are religious or not, or follow Christ or not. I mean, to not have compassion for others during a time like this is, okay, something's wrong with you. If you're going to make it out, you need to be sharp. You need to think, you have to reinvent your business. That's what we've been doing over and over, is reinventing not only our business, but our clients' businesses for them. You can't have a gym anymore. We need to do this online. People aren't coming in there anymore, into your restaurant anymore. People aren't coming to your dealership. We have to do buy online. Couch economy. It's time to adapt. And then the hands, hard hands. Not just sitting around waiting for the government to bail us out. Because A, it's probably not going to happen. And B, it's a loan. You have to pay it back. So
we have to go to work again. Anyway,
yeah,
might as well work now.
Yeah, might as well.
So there's a really simple way to deal with circumstances like this. It's super straightforward, and it's important for all of us to pay attention to it, because we can act right now. We can act boldly, and we can act with a great deal of confidence. And here's how: one of my friends he's a CEO of 30 companies, and he leads. He's the CEO of Southwestern family of companies, and an amazing organization. But he uses the acronym. I don't know if it's an acronym or an acrostic. I never remember which one it is, but he uses the word RAFT, R-A-F-T, and this is a fantastic tool for everyone to be able to use in an environment like this. And it's super simple. R stands for realize you got a problem. Okay.
Definitely do.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to be.
We definitely have a problem.
You have to be living in a cave.
Things are not normal.
That's right. So, but this applies to normal life too.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm just having a fun applying it now. So it's A.
so it's not just stating the obvious. I mean, it is the obvious right now, but in normal life, I mean, people blunder around forever and don't even realize they don't
even make a plan about it.
Blah, 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 blah. You know, I mean, everybody else can see it, but I can't.
Sure.
Yeah, you're looking at it, dude, you got a problem. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't. Everything's great. You know, and you go, no, really, you actually do have a problem. Until I realize I have a problem, we're not going to make any progress. The second thing is I got to accept it. Okay. So if I go into denial and say, no, there's no virus. No, there really isn't any virus. That's not Christianity. You know, there is a virus.
Oh,
It's not like to say, no, it's not going to happen. It's not real. Nothing's going on.
No, we're from America, Mike.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen in America.
It doesn't happen in America. America won't get it. It's not like it doesn't.
We're number one.
It's not really happening, you know, head in the sand. And that's the COVID issue. But same thing. You know, people living in denial constantly about the issue. They're like, no, I remember when I was a superstar football player in high school, and I want to go back to the good old days, and you know what's going on right now isn't really happening. You know, it can't be happening to me. That's just not possible. So it's a delusion. It's denial. And so we gotta. Any therapist would tell you that if whatever the problem is, until you recognize it and accept it, you're not going to make any
headway,
any progress. Yeah. So then the F is that's R and A, and then F.
Wait, what was A?
A's accepted.
Okay.
Yeah. So recognize you got
There's
a problem.
There's a virus. Okay.
Yeah. Accept it.
Okay. Got it. It's here. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely. We got to deal with it. All right. You know, no, it doesn't do us any good to deny it. Let's just we got it. Let's figure it out. And then the F is focus on the controllables. Okay. So we got to control the controllables. If you think about it, Stephen Covey wrote about this, and he said, you know, you got three circles of concern. You got the circle of impact, you got the circle of influence, and you got the circle of concern.
Right.
And you know, all the circle of concern is what's going on in Italy. Tragic. You know, the Prime Minister of England just got diagnosed with the virus.
Yep.
Okay? All of that stuff. Okay. And that's what people are fixated on right now. They're fixated on all the stuff they
outside
can't
of their control.
Anything about it.
I actually had to stop paying attention to the news because it's so outside of my control, and I have to focus on what is in my control right now.
That's right. And so we got a centerpiece that is are the things that we have direct impact over. I mean, you and I showed up here because we
can.
Could.
Yeah.
You know, we could. That's within the circle of our direct impact. And then there's other things. The circle of our influence, and part of the reason we showed up here today is because you have a huge circle of influence, and I have a huge circle of influence. And so we're deciding to use our opportunity here in the platform to be able to speak to people that we want to. So we're paying attention there. Now we might be talking about, you know, the global pandemic. But
I would like to break it down to a business where I think you and I can both end up helping a business owner who's kind of in shock right now, because I've been talking to a lot of them one-on-one. So what's the T?
Okay. So hang on. Let me show you, because every business owner needs this now.
I agree. That's why I'd like to break it down for them.
Right. So we still on F. Okay. So focus on the controllables. So what are the controllables? There's only 3. Okay. There's not 1,000. This is really good news.
So are we talking about business? So like expenditure, incoming?
No. It's anything in life, but business is fine. So you brought up business. So in business, there's only 3 things that you can control really as the CEO of a business or the owner of a business. The first thing is you got to control your attitude.
Yeah.
You have to control your mindset. Okay. If you don't do that, then forget the rest of it.
I would argue
okay?
that could be one of the only thing, that and your actions.
Well, that's the next thing. So
Yeah.
you got to control your attitude. That means we have to, and there's plenty of resources for that. There's Earl Nightingale's The Greatest Secret. There's all sorts of ways. It goes back to the whole idea that you become what you think about all day long.
Sure.
The Apostle Paul talks about it. He says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah, you're also like a product of the 5 people you hang out with the most too, right?
Absolutely. So we got to control our attitude. That's why I like hanging out with you. I
hanging out with you
really
too.
do.
No, I do too.
I find it really stimulating. It's good for me. It's good for me to be friends with you. I like
Ditto.
it. And so don't screw it up. Anyway, so see, we got to control our attitude. Second thing is we got to control our schedule. All right. So this whole thing, go solve the virus by sitting on your couch. There's these memes going around that are like, yeah, this is the only disaster in the world you can solve by sitting on your couch. Nonsense. We got to control our schedule, and even more so because all of the normal structures are completely disrupted.
Yeah.
So we're not going where we used to go, doing the things we got to do. That means maybe for some people, for the first time in their life, they're actually responsible for their own schedule. So if they're not getting the results they want, they got to look first their attitude, and then they got to look to their schedule. And the third things they need to look to is they need to look at their actions, at what it is that they're going to do. One of my earliest sales managers says, "Hey, Mike, you can't control your results. The only thing you can control is your actions. You can control what you do, and if you do the right actions, you can expect to get the right results." And so, for every business leader right now, it is absolutely critical. We all know we got a problem. We got to accept it, and then we got to focus on what we can focus on. Number one, what's your attitude? How do you protect that? How do you protect your confidence? Confidence is a currency of leadership. You got to protect your confidence. And the second thing you got to do is get your schedule straightened out. Quit sitting on your butt, whining, and get your schedule going. And then the third thing is, what are the actions that we can take right now in order to get us in the direction we want to go, to get us toward our goal? And then that takes us to the T. Okay, so the T is to transform that negative situation into positive momentum. Transform it into an outcome that you want, because that's what leaders do, right? That's what we declare the future. We open the future for people, and that's the T. But we got to do the first things first in order to get to this transformation. We can't just jump to a government solution to transform things. There's work to be done.
All right, so let's break this down really quick, because my life is transformed not only into a business owner, but part shrink, really, as I've been helping business owners who are understandably so really losing it. The industries that I help are ones that are being the hardest hit, and we're having to reinvent. So basically, if we were to go through this, and let's say, let me think, do I want to go specific? No, let's just do as general. Like, if you're a general small business owner, because if we get too specific, they're like, oh, well, that'll work for restaurants, but what about me? So let's have it be general. You're a small business owner and you do not know what to do, and you're on the brink of like having your business shut down. So let's start with R. So first of all, we're realizing that there's a virus, right? There's a virus, and that the government has potentially shut down your non-essential business,
or severely restricted your ability to operate.
Like, in my case, they've severely restricted my non-essential marketing firm. Nobody's here, everybody's home, and the businesses that we serve, a lot of them have been deemed non-essential. So whether essential or not, the government order has made things hard in Oregon and in, I believe, 20 some odd other states.
Sure.
And people are kind of acting the same way in all the other states, so it's pretty much a nationwide deal. Okay, so we have to accept that.
Yep. We got a health problem. We got an economic problem.
Okay, so we have a health problem, we have an economic problem, and then the other thing with accepting, I think one thing we throw in there is there is not going to be a magic unicorn with a bag of money coming to you.
You mean the 12? Well, I don't know. I'm not getting it $1,200, but some people are getting $1,200.
Yeah, that'll do a lot
help
for our business.
That's going to help.
Yeah. You have a small business, and all of a sudden you have $1,200. Like, oh, this will cover payroll.
Awesome.
For maybe me.
A minute.
Yeah. Okay. So there is no unicorn. So I guess we're realizing that, we're accepting that, and then now we are getting into. Let's see, RAF is
focus on what you can control.
Okay, so the things that are in control as a business owner. I mean, and like, I want to ping pong this with you. So basically, one thing that is within my control, like I am not. I believe a bit in Christianity. I go back and forth. Talking with you, I become more and more Christian, but I'm very hard in Stoicism.
Oh, I'd hate that.
Yeah. I'm a Stoicism.
I'd like to be with you forever, man.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah. Stoicism has been something that I've been training for, 2.5 years, and it's what allowed this apocalypse, whatever the hell you want to call this, for me to be very accepting of it and being okay with it. It's allowed me to keep my head together. Old Bud, before studying philosophy, I would probably be running down the street with my pants on fire, and the business probably would have collapsed, because I only, in Stoicism, as in Christianity, and basically what you're saying, they're very similar, Christianity and Stoicism, is basically there's only two things in the world: the things you can control and the things you can't. So the things you can't, like we're talking about in the news, why worry about them? Because you can't control them, so why even complain about it? And the things that are in control, well, they are in your control, so do something about it instead of sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself. So, business owner, we're at the F, and we're realizing what are the things that are in your control. So your mind, your perception, your actions. Those are the main ones. And so now we're like, okay, so what do you do? What are the things that you can help with? So business owners, this is something that I've been doing personally for my business. It's working. Actions that I'm able to take. Anything that you're paying out, any of the many Adobe Suite products. I'm talking, so for the SaaS companies out there, you're talking Zapier, you're talking power, rent, gas, internet, everything is negotiable. Everything. And I've been finding that to be true. I've only run across one business that would not negotiate with me, and we found a way to cut them. We just found a way without it. Everybody else has been understanding. And so we've been able to go through from the landlord. All you got to do is have the conversation. So if you're sitting around being like, well, I don't know what to do. The government, it's just too much. Make a list. Put it in your schedule. This is on my schedule today from 9 to 10:30. I am going through my vendor list, and I'm calling. Don't email unless there's no way to call them. Like if you're dealing with something like Zapier or Microsoft Office or things of that nature, which, by the way, if you have Microsoft Office, save yourself some money. Google Sheets, Studio, all that stuff, just can it. You don't need that for your business right now. You can replace all that with Google. It's way more effective and way easier to work remotely with that as well, which we're all being forced to do. Talk to your landlord residentially. All those things that you don't also need. Like, do you need HBO and Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV and Disney Plus? Do you need all those things? Do you have time for it? Because if you're a business owner like me,
what's TV?
Exactly. I get some updates on the news, and that's about it. And I get that from my computer. I'm working like 16, 17-hour days right now making this stuff work. So those are things that are in control. And feel free to cut me off because I'll just keep on going. So that, and then... It's
actually your interview.
So those are some of the things that you can plan. Those are in your control. What else is in your control as a business owner?
So... Oh, those are good things, but those are playing defense. Okay, we need to do that.
Well, sure. I'm gonna get in offense, but I want you to take offense first.
Sure. So doing all that stuff makes sense, but nobody saved their way into success ever. You can't negotiate your costs down to where you succeed. What's important is to take a look at the fundamental concept of business. See, people think business is real. Business is not real. Nothing is. It's everything's made up.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, so
live in a giant high school.
So part of the problem that what people haven't actually realized, and we get a chance to do right now, is that just because you and I were in one kind of business yesterday,
doesn't mean it's gonna be there tomorrow.
Doesn't mean it even should be there tomorrow.
Sure.
We live in a world, even before the virus thing and all that, we live in a world of enormous disruption. Accenture did a survey. They did this a few months ago, and I think it was like 75% of the businesses said that they were living in a marketplace of disruption. Commoditization, price pressure, just radical changes going on. 100% would say it now, right?
Right.
We live in a world that's completely upended and disrupted. So we can either, slit our wrists, run a warm bath, and say it's all over, or we can say, okay, it is what it is. The world changed, and now I need to make up something new.
So the first thing I said was a defense, but more of my time has actually been going to offense, and that's actually one of the first thing I talk to the clients about. But we're like schedule. What are things you can control? You can control those costs going out, and now you need to change. So one of the main 38% of our portfolio for Mazama is auto. It's not a good position to be in right now. Not that I'm ditching them. I'm doing everything, and the ones that are listening to me, we're actually selling cars online because they're changing the way they do business. Your showroom is literally illegal for people to come into right now. You better now. You know how I've been talking about selling online? And now we're really serious about that, aren't we? Some of them still won't take me seriously. That's another conversation. But I'm looking at what companies can I help? What companies can I reinvent? What industries can we do? Security is a big one that we're having a big impact in and will continue to. For unfortunate reasons, but it is what it is. The reason is because, looting is on the rise and will continue to be. You need to have peace of mind at your business, at your house. That's an industry that doesn't know how to market. Ads right now for Facebook. If you're a business right now and you're trying to get the idea of how you reinvented yourself, reinventing ideas are things like a gym, and now you're working out at home, selling a car online instead of coming into the showroom, doing massive takeout delivery for a restaurant. We are doing dental consultations through Facebook Messenger Live, and then they're setting an appointment for after the thing to keep the dental pipeline full instead of the dentist just being like, oh, I'm sorry. You don't have to be sorry. Do something about it. We have surgeons in LA doing the same thing. You can think around it. You can keep business coming in. So go on the offensive instead of just being like, you're right, Mr. Surgeon. There is nothing we can do. I guess you will have to cancel and shut your business down. No, fuck that. How do we get around this? So think innovatively. There is a solution for every business. I was talking to a longboard company, and they're like, yeah, nobody's buying the longboards right now. I was like, not unless you market it differently. You are the ultimate social distancing tool that allows for exercise.
Oh, no, that different longboard.
Yeah, different long. Yeah.
Okay,
well, it would work for both of them. One's in the water, one's you're running outside, but they both are great social distance exercising tools. Market it that way. Facebook ad costs are down 40%. They've never been this cheap in 5 years. 5 years. They haven't been this cheap. So buy low, sell high, isn't that a thing? So that's us in EF. So I'm getting all worked up. What's the T again?
No, transform. So turn it into something.
So yeah, I guess the F kind of rolls into the T, right?
Well, here's one of the distinctions that ties in real nicely. What you're talking about is we have such a labor mindset. Even business owners have such a labor mindset. Like we even though we own our own businesses and we say we want to control our own destiny and all that stuff, we still work like employees. We still think like employees. And what I mean by that is that a lot of owners of businesses think that they're in a business. But they're not in a business, they're in business. Yeah. Which is a huge distinction. So you and I were created to be in business. You weren't created to do Mazama. Mm-hmm. I mean, you may be doing it for a while and or not, but you were created to be a business guy. Okay.
Seems to be that way.
Right. And so was I. And so we are, as entrepreneurs, we are in business, not in a business. For a particular time we may be. And part of it is really an issue of identity. So if I identify myself as being a car dealer or a traditional car dealer or whatever it is,
really hard for that to be shattered.
Yeah, I'm gonna behave in a way that's consistent with my identity. If on the other hand I say, hey, I'm in business and I've been selling cars for a few years and I think I'd still like to sell some cars. How would a business guy go about doing that? Mm-hmm. Not a car dealer, but how would a businessman, like if I were coming in fresh into the industry, decided I like cars, wanted to sell them in this environment,
well, something tells me you probably shouldn't spend the money and overhead on a showroom. That seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
Seems like one of the first things you do is call your landlord.
I mean, all if you were going to start selling cars right now, I mean, all you'd really need is an area for storage, and you call them online and be like, we'll deliver them to your door.
Well, and no one's ever done that before, right?
Yeah, well, Carvana is,
and
they're killing it.
It's a joke,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
It's been going on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, and it's just like, turns out that's the way, and it takes something like this. I've been having a lot of clients that I've been trying to shake into that mindset, and they're like, no, it'll never work. I'm like, well, not only has it, but now you have to.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff's been going on for a long time. One of my friends that I'm going to interview Monday on my 10 Talent Leader Talk podcast that I do with Forbes Books is Dr. Tony Dale. And he was one of the originators of telemedicine 20 years ago. So he's been trying to convince corporate America for 20 years and individuals that telemedicine makes sense. And he's been struggling and, like thrashing. He's like, oh, no, I got to wait in line in a sick waiting room to... all of this stuff that's been the tradition of medicine. And you don't have to do that. There's a lot of stuff we can do. And all of a sudden, now people are like, telemedicine, what an innovation, what an awesome thing, Well, it's an idea whose time has come, and, he's 20 years overnight success.
Awesome.
In telemedicine.
Mm-hmm. So, it's just, how do you reinvent yourself for people that need to stay at home. People still consume. They're just doing it at home. And by the time this is over, if you go, well, I'll just wait till it blows over. This might be a while till it blows over.
Bad plan.
Very bad plan. By my conservative estimate, we're in for another 10 weeks from this date. It's March 27th, so that leaves us in the middle of June. That's conservative, just based on how the government is responding, and the numbers are only going to go up. And the shining light that we did have was that Italy's numbers were finally tapering down over the past 4 days in a row. What's been normal is they do spike and then 2 days of kind of downish and then spike again and then 2 days of downish, but now the down's up here. So it's been now 4 days of downish, which is awesome, but now it just did a much bigger spike. So knowing that, I mean, I could get all depressed and everything, which I'm not happy about it, but I'm like, all right, there's another sign that we're in this for the long haul, keep on reinventing.
Sure, because one of the principles of business that you have seen both work positively and negatively is the principle of momentum. Mm-hmm. Okay, so and this works in sports, it works in any, you pick your metaphor, okay? Momentum is critical. So we got the momentum knocked out of us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's ever just stopped the $20 trillion economy in its tracks before.
Right. So we rolled into this thing. I don't know about what you were seeing in my clients were on top of the world. We were killing it. I mean, everybody was killing it.
We were doing pretty well.
Things were as good as they've ever been. If you could fog a mirror in Central Oregon, you were doing great. And so we were as strong as we've ever been in this region, certainly, and maybe arguably in the country. And we had great forward momentum, and then we don't. Yeah. It stopped. So you stop. That's the end of momentum. Now then you got a choice, okay? You can either begin to go into negative momentum, which is playing defense. That's like if you keep doing that very long or you wait, you can't just stay in place. You start losing ground. You start losing momentum, and negative momentum is really hard to turn.
Yeah.
So the quicker that a business owner can say, I'm not going there. I'm gonna reinvent. I'm gonna do something different, and I'm gonna get my momentum going. Now realize, because we got to be, have a realistic perspective on this. It could be really hard to get momentum going. I mean, it might be super tough, but what is the alternative? So what if it's tough? I mean, it's uphill. Like, it's John Maxwell's got a thing going right now. You can go downhill, or you can go uphill. The challenge with going uphill in a situation like this is it's uphill. Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. Okay. Well, big deal. It's hard. All right. Yes. You can't go the other way. About it? Yeah. So we'll work hard. Yeah. We might not see results for a while. Has that ever happened in business? You push and push and push. You don't see results in a while.
Of course,
has it ever happened in sports?
Mm-hmm.
You're working out. You push and push and push. Man, I'm still wimpy. And then you break through.
Yeah.
But if you stop, if you don't create positive momentum, you never get there, and then you lose. So if we want to lose, we just die in place and dribble away, or we launch forward momentum, even if it doesn't look like it. Because, in most things that start, the Bible says don't despise small beginnings. But people quit too fast. You start and you go, oh, man, this is hard. I don't think it's working. But the ones that are champions, the champion says it will work. And I'll find a way. I'll over, through, around, under, it doesn't matter. I'm going to find a way to do this. And I don't care what it looks like in the moment, because I know what I'm trying to accomplish, and I know where we're going, and I know who I am. And if you happen to be a man or woman of Christian faith, then you just have a great underpinning and surrounding support system there too. But this works this is just truth. This is just like the way the world works.
Yeah.
So we got to get momentum. Everybody.
Yeah, and the way to not really get momentum is to think that you're going to get a bailout. Huh. But I'm afraid that that's what people are thinking. Like, oh no, the government will come to the rescue and everything like that. And so they just sit around.
It's impossible.
Well, I know they just print money that's not worth anything.
Well, then that's why we're in socialist society right now, and we're not going to like that. If we go further and further into this with a sense that we're going to be able to rely on the government to take care of our entire country, the math doesn't work.
But Michael, then I don't have to try hard. Then I can just sit back, and then everything will be great.
That's right. And then you'll have a nice little welfare dole. You'll have a little bit of something. Have some gruel.
I'll get some rice.
More cereal, sir. More soup, sir. No. What a miserable existence. We were talking about being in a socialist country. Yeah. I had firsthand experience with that in East Germany. The life of that dole. Mm-hmm. I went over there This was back in the 80s. And I went over there and I was going to change some West German marks. So, and Berlin was separated into two. And so West Berlin was like one big party because, party today because you might die tomorrow, because we were right in the middle of the Cold War. You would remember that. But there was a Cold War and it was serious. And I was right in the middle of it. And so I was going to exchange some West German marks for some East German marks. And I think I wanted to exchange, because I wanted to buy some stuff from East Germany to take back as a souvenir and all that.
Sure.
And so I tried to change, I think it was 100 marks. And the bank said, into East German marks? Mm-hmm. You don't need that. And I said, no, I want to get some stuff. They said, no, why don't you, if you want to be extravagant, I do 10 marks. I said, no, that's nuts. So I exchanged 30 marks. 30 West German marks for whatever it was in East German marks, like 10 billion.
So just for reference, how much was a mark worth? How much was a West German mark worth for dollars?
$1.50.
Okay, so you want $150.
Something like that, And so I got 30.
You got $30.
I got 30 marks.
You got $45 worth.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I went in and I spent, and I tried to spend it in East Berlin, and I couldn't spend it. I couldn't find anything to buy. I literally couldn't. I mean, and you go into a store, look like a department store, you have these things in the windows, look like a Penny's or something like that, or a Macy's, look kind of cool. And I thought, oh wow, that's great. You walk in the store and there's nothing on the shelves. There's one long counter with 16 clerks behind the counter, all standing there behind they have cash registers, but like with little pads and stuff like that. And so 16 of them, and behind them are little scattered pieces, little products and all. And
behind them, so you couldn't steal it.
So
that's how Russia still. I had that same experience.
Yeah, so then you get in one line. Okay, 16 clerks, one line. Everybody lines up in one line, and they didn't split off. Like, okay, next you can go over. No, the 16 clerks, 15 of them sit there, and one of them takes the orders, and so the line grinds its way forward. Sit there and watch. Because everybody lines up. They line up. Because they're.
Why do they just sit there and watch?
Because what are you going to do? I mean, they're in the one line, It's like it's rigid, mind freeze.
Well, I guess when you get rid of like capitalism and trying to compete and everybody gets the same amount, then what does it matter?
Well, yeah, and so then there's this also this social pressure. So if if I wanted to step out of that line and go to one of those other clerks, then nobody was having that. You'd stay in the line. So I get to the front of the line finally, and I want to buy something, and I look around, and the only thing I can find, this is actually kind of funny, right? Well, maybe not, but I thought it was funny. The only thing I could find, 2 alarm clocks. These were the latest technology in from Russia. These 2 alarm clocks, and and this was like the big deal.
That's one thing you could buy at like a Kmart or a JCPenney, so to speak.
Well, what these were, you may have seen these like in some history museum or whatever, but they were round like this, and you wound it up, and it had when the alarm clock went off, it went off like that. Bang, 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 bang. This was the latest technology. There were 2 of them. I bought both of them. Couldn't spend all my money. I gave one to my girlfriend at the time, who was working on the flight line at Ramstein Air Force Base. And it just cracked me up because we were waking up to the same bang, 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 bang alarm clock as our enemies. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that's sort of ironic. But anyway, I couldn't spend the money. It was crazy. There just wasn't anything to buy.
And that's because the state basically takes it and disperses it to...
Hands out a dole, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And disperse it to the cities. Another thing is how much they go after the farmer. So in the Soviet Union, like there were several times where several of these where farmers would basically imagine that you and your family own and operate a farm, and then all of a sudden a group of soldiers come, confiscate all your grain, all of it. And then they take it to the city because the city needs it. They don't pay you anything for it because that's where the redistribution of your goods needs to go. And how they'd enforce it is if they heard from other people, or if they heard at all that you kept any of it, you were thrown in a concentration camp to never be seen from again and die. And they took it to such extremes that they would take mothers that after they came and took all their grain, they would be going out because they have to make some bread. They have to feed their family. So they'd be going out into the field and finding little grains, like little morsels they left, and like collected them. And if they found out that they did that, they would throw them in jail because that needs to go. You're stealing from the state. And that's equity, equal outcome. And that's what people don't really get when they talk about socialism is equal. First of all, it's not possible. And what is equity? What is equal outcome? What does that mean?
Yeah. Whose rights are more, the soldier or the farmer? Or, where's the equality in that?
Yeah. And so you end up getting this massive poverty and massive starvation of those farmers end up dying. And if you end up speaking out like they had concentration camps all over the Soviet Union, and these police that would just kick in your doors and torture you and like really seriously torture you until you admitted something that you didn't do, until you signed a piece of paper saying you did the thing they didn't do. Awful sort of a thing. And it's one of the worst stories I heard from the Gulag Archipelago, which is the thing that brought down the Soviet. It's credited for one of them. It's one of the best works of the 20th century, written works, that is during World War II, when Germany was kicking the Soviet Union's ass, and then the Soviet Union got the surge, and they started pushing Germany back into Europe, and they were pushing them. The Soviet Union, by the way, won World War II. We got the Berlin second. Our history books don't really tell you that, but that's what happened. So the Soviet Union pushed them back, and they got into Berlin, and those soldiers fought in capitalism societies for a year until they got them into, and it was the end. And those soldiers knew that they said to America and Great Britain, they're like, please don't send us back to Russia. They'll kill us. And we actually did it. We said, yeah, it's too bad. Here you go, Stalin. And Stalin took them and put them all in concentration camps and killed them all. Why? Because they knew what capitalist society was like. And that was too much of a threat towards the beautiful Marxism, communist society of not the way to do things. So, yeah. Marxism and socialism should scare the shit out of people. For some reason, it's not demonized. People don't understand. People talk about like Hitler as being the ultimate supervillain, or the ultimate villain of mankind. He didn't come close to Stalin as far as people that were killed. And Stalin didn't care what race you were, what religion you were. It was just if you slightly disagreed or even thought, or even if you didn't. They had quotas that they just had to hit. They gave the secret police quotas. You need to arrest this many people on this day. I don't care if they did it or not. You just need that many. What?
Yeah, we need to have a serious wake-up call about what's going on here. And this issue of momentum is really, really critical because, I mean, it's up to individuals to help turn the tide on this. One of the good news things that I think is going to happen out of this, I hope it's a good news thing, is that we're going to get a wake-up call on socialism and go, we don't want to go there, and we're not going there. We're just going to say no. And we do still have the opportunity to say no. One of the things, though, that we do need to have a wake-up call on, though, is how quickly we can go to a police state. Because we were working, 3 weeks ago, everybody was doing what they were doing, and now I understand.
It's very real. It can happen.
All of a sudden now, we have multiple violations of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Mm-hmm. We have freedom of assembly shut down. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of religion shut down. We have all kinds of things shut down. Those of us that are Second Amendment fans, we should be paying attention here because in the interest of the public safety, mm-hmm. it's clear that government has learned now that they can flex and they can take it. They can take what they want. Yeah. And what are we going to do unless there is a revolution? Now, we happen to be in something that is like a really serious health thing, but just imagine if it was about Second Amendment rights or if it was really about freedom of religion or whatever. So we should be watching really closely. There's a bigger story that's happening here than sickness and the businesses being shut down. There's a bigger social, cultural, political story. And if we don't watch the momentum on this, we could actually see this take us into just the dark ages of America.
So how do we push back? Just keep on innovating?
Well, I think that the business leaders are going to lead out of this. I mean, innovation has always come out of the business sector, and we need to continue to do that. We need to do the part that we are on this planet to do. I believe that God made me to be a business guy. I believe He made you to be a business guy, and so we need to go do business. And the better we do at business, the more valuable we become. That's the nature of business. You create value. And so we need to do that. It's imperative. And so the leaders of business in this country have the opportunity to reverse the momentum as long as we don't sit on our couch and think we're going to solve this problem by waiting it out on the couch. What a ridiculous concept.
No, there's no way that we can. One thing that I've kind of realized and had some somber thoughts about is just how much power these governors really have.
Well, that's right. Look what Kate Brown did. She shut it all down with executive fiat, just like that.
Yeah.
And I understand, the rationale.
I do too.
But we need to take a look at it from the perspective of, hey, what does that actually say about our perception that we live in a free country? Because we don't live in a free country this week.
No, we don't.
We live in a totalitarian socialist regime right now in this country. And you can argue whether we should or shouldn't be, but the reality is that.
Do you think if we were in a complete libertarian type of a state with the free market that we would have come to these type of conclusions as well, or more of a South Korean solution? Or I wonder or if it could have gone, because it could go really bad the other way. If everybody ends up getting, and if the numbers turn to be true, then as you were talking about the value of life, potential of, let's just say that you have half of America getting it with no measures. So that's 150 million people, and say 1% of those die. That's 1.5. That's a lot of people.
So I'm glad I didn't have to make the choice.
I am too. I'm just curious.
Here would have been my bet, which is why I wouldn't get elected, and would have probably been shot as if I was the president, because this is a presidential decision. Okay.
Yeah.
And I happen to be a Trump fan. Okay. And I told you this is going to be controversial. I can't even imagine Joe Biden even trying to remember what was going on in the midst of this, let alone running the country.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sure he's a fine man and all of that, but he needs time to move on. Anyway, so this would actually be a presidential thing to say, okay, just like in World War II, World War III, whatever it is, I believe that one alternative would have been to declare war on the virus and say, we're going to mobilize all the resources of our government and the resources of our business community and our climate. We're going to mobilize and we're going to go after what the real enemy is.
That would have been a lot more morale lifting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you could have said,
yeah, my vote.
Then it wouldn't have.
Yeah, my vote. I haven't even heard the whole plan. I already love it. Let's do it.
Then it wouldn't have been like. Then it wouldn't have been like, hey, we'd really like it if you didn't get close to your friends.
Yeah.
We could have immediately gone, hey, look, we're on a war footing. All right. If you're not going to be with us in the war, that's a real problem because you're messing us all up. Okay. So in the war footing, here's what we're going to do. You're not going to spit on your friends, whatever it is. You're not going to do these things. And what you're going to do is you're going to work your butt off. And if you get sick, then you're going to stay home. And we're going to mobilize resources to make sure you're taken care of. Most of you are not going to die anyway. Most of you are going to get better and come back to work, and you'll be immune then. And so we might be working with half of a workforce for a while, but most are not going to die. Let's take the mobilization of the resources in business and government, and let's make sure we take care of grandma. Let's make sure we take care of the weakest parts of our society. That's the purpose of government, is to care for the weakest, not to kill the strongest.
Yeah. Okay. So declare war on the virus and mobilize towards ventilators and maybe containments, vaccines, more drug research, treatments, stuff like that. There could be a lot of business out of this. Just kind of sees how off we were on this, just how ill prepared, and that will create a lot of business for the next one of just having more preparation ready, a way to speed up the vaccine times, research and all that sort of stuff. Same with drug creation and testing and all those sort of things. So there's innovation to be made through this, and it's going to be happening in the medical business sector. I don't really see that happening through the government sector.
No, it could happen through one of your friends, for example. Let's say as part of this war, that government said, if you're going out in public, you're going to wear a mask. Okay. So we're at war. You got to put your uniform on.
Yeah.
Our uniform is you got to wear a mask, got to wear gloves. Okay. So if you're in Central Oregon, there's not enough masks. Who do you know that makes stuff out of fabric and has an unlimited labor force?
Blackstrap. Hey.
Blackstrap's one. How about another one? Another good friend of yours. How about Sedera?
Yeah.
Okay. Huge infinite workforce. Needs the job, needs the work, social cause. They could put masks together.
Yeah, easily.
Instantly, right? They'd sew stuff all the time. And do you think Shannon would go for that?
Yeah, Shannon would go for it. And I would pay Shannon for it too. We all would.
In a heartbeat, right?
Yeah, if we knew that's what we needed, it'd be here you go, Shannon, here's $1 a mask. And they would look cool too.
Absolutely. They would be.
These fucking things. This is fucking very unfashionable.
I know, it'd be gorgeous, and so we'd save a business, we'd save all kind of lives, we'd pull people out of prostitution and abuse, and we'd do all kinds of great social good through the impetus of business. But we didn't say that. We said, oh, we got a shortage of masks, and everybody's wringing their hands, going, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? We don't have enough masks. This is a ridiculous response. Rather, if you went on a war footing, you'd say, all right,
make masks,
Bud. You're in charge of making masks in Central Oregon.
Yeah.
You'd go, let me think. Who can I call?
Yeah.
And you'd come up with Blackstrap, and you'd come up with
Sudara.
Shannon and Sudara, and you'd have masks flowing into Central Oregon in a freaking day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I would. No, I already did do that.
Yeah. This is actually not hard.
Yeah. No, I started thinking of that immediately. Like, how can we end up helping? What can we end up doing to make this end up working on a business sense?
And look at it, like if
a
you
lot
had
of
to
business owners, though, they just need to hear this kind of stuff because they get shell shocked, and understandably so. This isn't like a normal freaking we run into this every 10 years. Like, this is never that we've run into just like, oh no, you remember business the way it knows it, done, just everybody go home. It's never happened. So it's just pep talking people up, I guess.
Sure. If you wanted to make respirators in Central Oregon, what would you do? Who would you call?
Let's see. Who would have the material in Central Oregon to do something like that? To make respirators?
How long would it take you to find the answer?
Probably a half hour.
Half hour, right?
Yeah.
So who makes composites? Who's got milling machines?
I would be talking to Abe. I'd be talking to Abe first because he's so well. Who's the owner of Blackstrap, and I'd start organizing with him.
Yeah, in half an hour you would have a pathway. You'd be going that. None of this stuff is hard.
Mm-hmm.
We just made poor decisions about how to mobilize the resources that we have, and we went to a socialist solution. Oh, well, let's the government take care of it.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's tragic.
Yeah. Now businesses, I got a really depressing text from one restaurant owner who just told me, he's just like, yep, this Saturday, it's going to be our last day open for a while. And I tried to give a lot of innovative ideas, and he's just like, no, this and that. And I was like, hoping that it would just end. This idea of like, it's just going to, we have to adapt. You have to act like it's not going to end. That's what we're planning for. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. And it's horrible things that we're planning for, but hell, I'm better have a plan for it than just think that everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows in 2 weeks.
Well, we're still, unless we just all die. Okay. And we all get it. We all die, in which case it won't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'll be happy, because I know where I'm going. And
yeah.
So if we all die, then this is irrelevant. But if we don't die, that means we're still alive and we're still human. And if you boil this down, there's some fundamental things about being human that business addresses. I had a mentor, a teacher years ago. He was a professor at Berkeley named Dr. Fernando Flores. He used to be the ministry director in Chile. Mm-hmm. And he broke it down pretty simply. He says there's fundamental domains of human concern. There are things that every human being needs throughout all history. There's needs for recreation, there's need for food, there's need for, you got several of these things. And every business is an organized offer for help. It's an organized way to address a domain of concern. So you asked earlier, what am I saying to my business owners that are struggling? I'm going like, what do your customers really want from you? Mm-hmm. Like what is the fundamental offer here? Is the offer viable?
That's a beautiful thing that everyone needs to have a take home on this. What do the customers want? Not only from you, but period. Like,
that's right. What is a fundamental domain of human concern that you can address?
Right now. Yeah.
Whatever it is. How do you go about doing that right now? It could be that the offer you had yesterday is a dumb offer now.
When I'm going through Facebook ads and I'm seeing companies that are not adapting to what's going on right now and they're keeping the same ads they had running a month ago, I'm like, you're out of your mind.
You're right.
You're just acting like everything's cool and just order those sunglasses. No, there's a way to change it around. Did you know that sunglasses will limit the amount of exposure you'll get if you have them on and with a mask? You don't have to do it that way. We're doing a sale right now. This is me just thinking of the sunglass one. I don't have a plan. If I think long enough, I could come up with one, but just shooting from the hip, I would be like, hey, listen, we understand that times are tough. We also understand you still need to go outside. That's why we're doing 50% off. We all know that making those things are cheap as heck. You're doing it in China anyway. Do a big discount to help people get those things out and show that you care. Change your freaking language up. Know that there's something going on, and I see so many of those. And people, when they're on social media, which usage is up 180% right now, insane. Not 80%, 180%. 80 would be huge. So change the way that you're marketing your business so that you're like, when somebody's going through it, why are they on there? They're looking for updates on what's going on. They're scared. Give them some peace of mind. So Raft, I love to end with that. So if you just go through that one more time for business owners to apply and business leaders, I think they'd get some peace of mind and they can start applying that.
Sure. I got to give great credit to my friend Dustin Hillis. He's the CEO at Southwestern Company. 30 companies he runs. He knows how to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And they have adjusted dramatically. But anyway, I got to give great credit to him. I mean, I've been working with this concept for decades, but the RAFT thing is just an acronym that works great. So R is to recognize you got a problem.
Right.
Okay. Second thing, that's A, is accept it. Admit it, accept it, embrace it. Yeah, okay, we got a problem and we're going to go after it. And then the F is focus on the controllables and focus on the things we can. And that's our attitude, our schedule, and our work, our actions. And then the final thing is take this in our Christian mindset. We say what the devil intended for good, for bad, we're gonna turn into good. It's a Joseph time. The story of Joseph in Egypt. He was thrown in the pit, and then he went into slavery, and then he was in prison, and all this stuff. And then he became the second most powerful man in Egypt, arguably the most powerful man, because the Pharaoh gave him all the power and all the resources. So, and what he said, hey, my brothers intended this for bad, or the devil intended this for bad, and God turned it into good. Mm-hmm. And so that's the transformative power that we have, both as Christ followers and that we have as entrepreneurs and business owners. We have the transformative power to take something that sucks and turn it into something stellar.
Absolutely.
But we got to take the challenge. But that's what we're made for.
It is.
We were built for a time like this. That's why, I hate that people are sick and I hate all this other stuff, but I'm excited because we were built for this, man. You and I were made for this moment.
We are, and we're making things happen. It's awesome. So last two questions. One, where can people in Central Oregon or around the world find out more about 10X Group, how to join if they're within Central Oregon? And then two, if you could tell us where to find you and how to listen to your awesome new podcast with Forbes.
Sure. It's just simple, 10X Groups.
10X Groups?
Yeah, 10xgroups.com.
Mm-hmm.
10xgroups.com, super simple. And then the podcast is called 10 Talent Leader Talk, and I'm doing that with Forbes, which is awesome.
Right, and you've had some big names on there.
Yeah, we got bigger ones coming. It's pretty cool. And so I post those on my Facebook and LinkedIn accounts, so you can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Michael Sipe.
Michael Sipe on Facebook and Michael Sipe on LinkedIn,
we'll
whatever
put in the hyperlinks too.
Yeah. So anyway, all of those things are available, and I would urge people to listen. This is not my wisdom. All we're doing is asking questions of amazing leaders, and the brilliance that's coming out is unbelievable. It's so cool. I just feel like I'm the most blessed guy out of all of it, because I just get to ask these softball questions, and then the leaders come up with this stuff. I'm like, whoa, I'm just all the podcast is taking notes on this stuff is so strong. So I'd urge you to do that. Those are available. It's free. We're not selling anything. It's we're just basically doing what you're talking about, Bud, is bringing hope to the marketplace, but not Pollyanna, airy fairy.
Yeah.
We're bringing hope. Like the guy I'm leaving right now to go interview is CJ Buck, the fourth generation CEO of Buck Knives. This is not a Pollyanna dude. Okay, it is not like, oh, airy fairy, oh my gosh. No, this is a man's man. This is a stud. And so this is the kind of message that people need to hear. Like, all right, suck it up, let's go.
Good. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I always love our conversations.
Me too.
I would give you a handshake, but perhaps next time.
Yeah, not a kiss. Yeah, not a kiss. Yeah, might go over a handshake.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bud. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks.